I heard tales that you wanted to discuss aliens or UFOs or the scent hearings or something like that. Is that
I
accurate?
couldn't think of a better group of people to discuss this with publicly online than you guys.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
You came right to mind, and Chiz reached out, and it's just perfect timing. Perfect time. Did you guys watch it at all yesterday? The live.
I did not.
committee
Inform
hearing?
us. I'm aware of it.
Yeah. what
I
happened?
can find you a link. It's all over.
I saw the guy publicly, like under oath, testify.
Yeah.
That. What is it? What did he say exactly? That we have alien
Was it
technology?
non-human remains? Is that
All
what
right,
it said?
we'll do a summary for the viewers. I'm sure you guys are informed and are just trying to trip me up a little bit, but I'll summarize real quick here, which is
Yes.
There's a 2-hour Senate committee hearing with 3 witnesses coming in. And this was, I think I have the name somewhere. Give me a second. I'll find them up. This is Ryan Graves, David Grush, I don't know how to say his last name, and David Fravor. And David Fravor is the guy who 2004, his group of pilots were up. He was one of them where they've had the, the Tic Tac video that they recorded with this, which is basically something, we don't know what the fuck it is, with actual footage from the instruments on their plane, and it's doing some really crazy shit. And this is all these guys are career military guys, all of them in good standing, some of them still there, some not, and they have come out and, David Fraser had that one incident, nothing before, nothing after with this, talked about it a lot of other eyes on it of something the fuck going on. All right, none of this alone is very interesting. All of this is kind of like, what the fuck is going on, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
But you get a couple of these coming out. You get Ryan Graves is in it for slightly different reasons. This apparently is something that happens a lot with the aviation training and flying of jets. They have this shit in the sky. They're not quite sure what it is. They keep seeing these. There's not a good way to reporting. There's a bunch of stigma for reporting these. No one wants to be the guy being like, I saw some fucking aliens out there in your flight group kind of deal. Anyways, so he's in there kind of going like, well, you have this huge training problem and safety problem with air stuff that can't get reported because people get laughed out of the room kind of deal for reporting this. And there isn't an agency and isn't a system and kind of place for tracking this shit. We should do something about this. And then we got the final one, which is David Grush, whatever his name is, who's come out. He's a whistleblower talking about it's like firsthand knowledge of people who have firsthand knowledge of seeing this shit, which gets a bit kind of sketchy for that. And he's only willing to talk some things in open meetings like the one he just had, and the rest of this is classified. So my understanding is basically he's come out to do this, but he's doing this inside of legal bounds. So not like a Snowden situation where he's just spilling all these secrets, but he's trying very hard to protect the confidentiality of the things that are security clears and that he can't talk about, but thinks this needs to be told to the American public. All right, what's the interesting part about this for me is holy fuck, this is in a Senate committee hearing in public being taken seriously with a bunch of people who aren't saying, hey, there's little aliens, although Grush says he has both seen or have talked to people who have both seen craft and seen bodies, which is fucking wild. Forget that for a minute. I don't even want to.
But he doesn't say he saw it. He says he
no.
talked to people.
Yeah. Bo is willing to give names, they've written things, submitted reports of this kind of shit, but no, can't do any of that public kind of deal, right? But
there's that one video though that they apparently showed Congress or some members of that committee, and they're like, you can see people in the craft moving around.
I haven't seen that one way or the other, and I don't know. For me, just the publicity on there's some weird shit up in our airspace. We don't know what it is. We have a lot of eyewitness reports, a lot of sensor data, a lot of stuff that's been tracked from both ships and planes of this. And we're finally starting to talk about it. We finally want to start talking to the public about it. We have senators who are interested in poking at it going, hey, we have what's supposed to be top security clearance for this. And when we ask questions, we get turned away. What the fuck is going on? And we're going to get to the bottom of this and doing this publicly. Suddenly shit gets really interesting to me. So I thought that was just a super cool. Just watching it was just so, if you can't hear it in my voice, I want to believe kind of deal. But
yeah.
You want to believe?
Yeah, for sure.
I want to believe as well. No, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah,
I grew up loving the X-Files and that sort of conspiracy
or it would
at
be
the heart of that show. And I would love it if they would just be, you know what, gigs up. I get on the UFO subreddit, the UFOs subreddit, slightly different. The the conspiracy subreddit, and they're like, Biden has met with their leader. They live at the bottom of the Marianas Trench, and they've been there for 5,000 years. They told Truman that if he used a nuke against them, they would wipe us off the planet and take it for their own. And I'm just like, probably all accurate. Okay. Okay.
Probably true. Yeah. The only it's weird to think about an alien race that would get here and then like get caught on camera.
Dude, he said some weird fucking shit in there because they asked a little bit about that. Apparently, the second guy, the whistleblower guy, has a degree in physics, which I had no idea until I heard this committee thing, and it was talking a little bit about it. But he said some just bullshit stuff from they just set off all my kind of bullshit detectors of like extra dimensions and this type of stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I wish you hadn't said that because I was happily going along with, this sounds believable. This sounds believable.
You were so excited for like the first 40% of it. And you're like, no. Oh, damn. Fuck.
Yeah, could you have kept that one for closed doors too?
Can you imagine if he got to the end and he was like, and it turns out that Jesus Christ is their leader. He has come back to us. Actually, I would buy into that. If like that would bring us all full circle. We always talk about how we wish that God was real, or
all the other religions would just become Christians.
What if Jesus Christ was an alien, an extraterrestrial, and this last, how long ago? 2,000 years, 2020 something years. He has been flying back home. He has been flying back home, telling his people that he's what we did to him, and they've been on the way back to get retribution for what the Romans did to Christ. I don't think that's very accurate. Yeah, that's
no one asked that exact question in the committee, and this is why I thought PKA is where I need to go, because I didn't even think that's a hard hitting kind of the exposure we would get from something like that, Kyle, would just be
the only way we could catch aliens on camera is if they wanted to be caught on camera. Because imagine like to show up at a planet where you get to a planet from 1 billion light years away, like that's like me walking a mile to get to an anthill. Like when I get to that anthill, like they're nothing to me. They're barely sentient to me. I can do whatever I want.
See you? You couldn't.
No, I mean they would have some cool cloaking, some kind of technology, or like they'd be able to look at us from further away than our furthest telescope can look, and they'd
totally
be looking into your living room.
This metaphor falls apart.
Yeah, this isn't working, Taylor. Like you can't even hide from ants. Like you could drive to an anthill. You could fly to an anthill on the other side of the planet, but when you got there, they'd still be able to see you. You can't turn invisible because you're just way more advanced, not magical.
Okay, that was more a power difference.
Boom!
If you're looking at just damn, God, fuck, you got me. No, they would have some. Dude, the Russians and the Americans have cloaking technology. The aliens would have.
We don't have cloaking technology.
Dude, there was some weird thing in there too.
We have B-2 bombers that like you can't pick up on our ability to, or they probably can now, but for a long time those were $1 billion a piece.
But they're not invisible to cameras.
Yeah, that's stealth. That's not like here's my arm and here's.
Do you guys think maybe that the interdimensional race of people might be more advanced than that, and they might be able to just become invisible? The idea that they're gonna show up and we're gonna catch them unless they want to be caught. So if we're seeing them, they want to be seen.
Well, that Tic Tac video, what they said that's David Fravor stuff again, was that their active radar got jammed by it. So that what they were only picking it up was on passives because their active was getting actively jammed, which was fucking interesting to me hearing that. Which is talking about stealth. That's kind of what that is. Actually,
you know what? It might not even. It depends what kind of alien race, right? If it's like the super intelligent kind, they'd have technology and whatnot. But what if it's more of like the fungus kind of alien, where like they're just vicious and like the alien kind of alien, and they're more just here for destruction and doom and
my favorite sci-fi and an alien encounter scenario is that like an alien slave ship shows up, like an alien nation, or in that what's the movie in South Africa that's the apartheid allegory. Like something like that, where they have District 9, where they have no idea how to operate their own technology. They're just like the bred, genetically engineered slave race that works inside the big ship. So and the master race has been all destroyed. So they get here with tech that they don't even understand, and now we just got a fucking immigration problem.
That's your favorite kind of space?
Yeah.
It's a financial issue when they show up.
Yeah. Because
they're bringing technology and goods, and they're like, "Oh, I'm thirsty." Like that's how they get out.
But they don't drink water. Because in Alien Nation, salt water was like battery.
No, they drink fucking Ciroc, and they demand it by the gallon. We have to get tons of it for them.
Have none of you guys gone down this rabbit hole before? The UFO rabbit hole?
Oh, me for sure.
I would assume.
I always
Not enough. Yeah,
I always go back to like, it seems like if they had all the technology and ability to get here, then they wouldn't come here. They'd go somewhere else. Maybe it seems maybe they could do that. What I think is, and if there's something going on, if there's actual craft and fucking bodies for reals, then I think it's a race of beings that have been here with us this whole time in the ocean. I keep going back to that because it's what I think would actually make a little sense. Because the idea of getting here across
so much harder, right? Because it's like, if these are drones or something, and these are just like Van Neumann stuff that's out replicating and it's here doing automated shit, maybe you're like, like that sounds like a much more plausible kind of thing. But like when you hear like bodies and craft that are being piloted, you're like, what the fuck? Like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Travis, are you an alien believer at all, or are you just kind of happen?
Of course, when you're driving home from clubs for 26 years at 3 a.m, you see some weird ass shit that you cannot explain, and it has nothing to do with drunks are weird. I mean, and we drove down some lonely ass roads in the middle of the night, and then of course, and my wife grew up in a smaller town where when it's dark out, it is freaking dark out. I live in Indianapolis, and we still have the glow from the city. But yeah, I mean, there is to say that we're the only folks cruising around here on this rock or whatever would be kind of tough, because there is some unexplainable shit that, of course. Now of course, like I said, in front of a damn Senate hearing right now, like who says, okay, all right, I'm going to bring this in front of the Senate. Last time we were in front of a Senate hearing, you had the guy from Roswell with a weather balloon, and then you're like, oh no, that's just a weather balloon. And you're like, and his kids are like, no, this shit was not a weather balloon. So yes, I mean, but my thing is, if you go through all these different administrations that. I grew up with Reaganomics and Carter and all this other stuff. But then you go through the Clinton years, and then of all people not to dump this shit, you don't think loudmouth ass fucking Donald Trump would have been like, folks, here's the fucking aliens, and it's fucking huge, like his dumb ass and being. And then Biden's smart enough to be like, because he's not saying he's a smart ass. He's an old, crazy old timer, but he's smart enough to know to keep his fucking mouth shut. But we just had fucking Trump in there, and his dumb ass had been like, check out this guy. His name is Orko. And he would like march him out there. So,
all right, to draw a reference to Harry Potter, maybe it's like that, where the prime minister doesn't know that there's magic and such going on unless there's a problem. And it's like, sir, we didn't tell you about the alien race that lives at the bottom of the ocean because we only tell presidents on a need to know basis. But they just blew up Hawaii. So you really need to know this. So this is Xenu. And it turns out Scientology is at the heart of it all. And we've got to get Tom Cruise to go up there. And for
we
real,
need the guy that's going to.
He can't stop winning. Tom Cruise can't stop.
I mean, we need Jason Statham to kick him all in the face. I'm
going to say this: if aliens came and we had to pick a movie star to go save us, I would pick Tom Cruise. I would pick.
But Woody grew up in the same kind of generation that I did, and it's we've had all these different administrations where crazy Democrats and crazy Republicans, all these. Don't you think that one of them by now would have, old ass Ronald Reagan would be like, well, I'll tell you whatever else, but Orko here thinks that we're going to rule the world. So how do you keep everybody? How do you keep everybody's
anyone?
How do you keep everybody's mouth shut?
There's an absolutely astronomical amount of shit on the side of this is bullshit. There's no way we can believe this, right? And I agree with that. Every one of those points I agree with, right? Someone would have said something. It's impossible to imagine this type of thing can be kept secret for this long, for this many people. It's impossible to imagine that there's this shadow government working behind it kind of shit. Any of this stuff, the idea of
add to that, the only people seeing it have like top secret clearance, or they're people who can really get to keep a secret, like military aviators. It's never some asshole with a cell phone and a paramotor who will run his mouth the second he sees it. It's not that guy.
All of this is, I agree with all of this. And this is, this is why it's so fantastical that any of this could even remotely be where it is now. But then you hear the other side that's equally interesting to me. And I don't think equal weight, because the weights are so crazy with this, but you hear the things of repeated pilots of all branches out there flying, everyone flying, reporting the shit, talking about this shit. I was watching an interview with, I can't remember which news program it was, but it was another one of, the individuals in Fravors group who flew, not with exactly with that mission, but another one of those. And that she was just like so nonchalant about it. Oh yeah, we used to see these things all the time. Like, it doesn't surprise me. And no one ever followed up on this stuff. We'd debrief and no one would come back. Or it wasn't until years later where I was called in to talk about that and really got into the technical details of this. When you hear this repeated stuff of something's up there, we keep seeing them, we keep catching them on instruments. We've tracked them a variety of different ways now. We see these unbelievable movements. It's something. And I liked the approach of the committee hearing with this was, we don't have to point to aliens necessarily. We don't have to point to whatever. We can say, well, it doesn't matter necessarily what it is, but the capabilities and seeing this and not having a good system for reporting and tracking this and not understanding what they're doing. This can be a foreign opponent. This can be, this can be China perhaps, or the witnesses didn't seem to think it was possible to be human, but we don't have to start there, right? And if it leads to non-human, great. We've laid the groundwork for this being fact and not just a hunt for the fucking Bigfoot again kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's like,
Sure.
It's my Neanderthal ancestors.
But Bigfoot's
They went
fun, too.
below.
yeah, but man, what the fuck is going on?
But there's still, and going back to your point, there's still a missing Malaysian airliner out there that's everybody's mysteriously, forgotten about or whatever in the last, where's that motherfucker at? Because that's a whole lot of shit still out there. That's, the ocean's big. Well, shit comes to the surface. Like, where's that damn, so if you go down that thing, you're like, okay, are they good? Are they evil? We've already kind of went good and evil already on this today, but we're like going, all right, so where do you stand with like, okay, we can't not explain the shit that's on that video. I can't. You can't. I'm a stupid disc jockey from Indianapolis. Don't go put a mic in my face and go, Travis, what's on that video?
Yeah.
Fuck if I know. I don't know what's on that video. But I agree that there's some driving home at night. There's some weird shit that you can't explain. Where the hell's the airliner? Where the hell's this? Why hasn't somebody other than top secret people that are like saying, hey, if you say shit, you die kind of thing?